We're here in Monte Carlo for the Rendez-Vous de Septembre. For AMBest TV, I'm Richard Banks. And I'm joined now by Catherine Thomas, who's Senior Director Analytics at AMBest. Catherine, welcome.
Morning, Richard.
So, last 3 years have challenged the perception of risk and insurance. How well prepared do you think are insurers and reinsurers to address the changing risk environment?
Well, no, you're absolutely right, Richard. What we've seen is environmental, technological and social trends alter the risk landscape in which insurers and reinsurers are operating. Risks have become more complex and interconnected. At the same time, we've seen changing climate trends and increased concentrations of assets and lives in vulnerable areas impact the cost of catastrophe losses. What we've also seen is the COVID-19 pandemic, which really did demonstrate just how interconnected risks have become. What it also served to do was really raise risk awareness and highlight the importance of risk mitigation and management. And I think they're trends that have been exacerbated by the current levels of macroeconomic and geopolitical uncertainty. But what we do see as risks become more interconnected is that this increases the potential for systemic losses and also for potential accumulations of losses. So as the risks that insurers and reinsurers clients are exposed to change and evolve and become potentially more complex, so must the analysis and techniques that insurers and reinsurers are using to assess potential accumulations and the risk drivers, they must also evolve. And I think what we're seeing, and technology is supporting this, is insurers and reinsurers looking particularly at that accumulation point and how these risks could potentially accumulate. Using better data capture and data analytics to offer and to evolve the products in which they're offering. And I think that goes beyond just pure financial protection, but also looking at how they can support risk management and risk identification and supporting their clients.
So a lot of that touches on systemic risk. It's been a big topic here in Monte Carlo this week, and particularly the role of governments in that. But how do reinsurers fit into that equation?
It's an interesting one because, to state the obvious, the concept of insurance is, it's based on the concept of diversification, so that not all risks affect all individuals or businesses at the same time. But with things such as pandemic, as demonstrated by COVID-19, and particularly non-damage business interruption associated with that, what we saw was that an event affected individuals and businesses across the globe. And that makes it very difficult for insurers to provide the risk capital to support that type of event. So I think there is a case then to see how, what is the role for the insurance and reinsurance industry in providing risk capital, and how they could potentially work with governments, with capital markets to address the need to support these types of risk. I think also, as I mentioned earlier, it can go beyond. Insurers and reinsurers are able to go beyond perhaps what they can provide, the pure provision of risk capital. It can also be about using their capabilities in terms of technical capabilities, claims paying capabilities, distribution capabilities to support clients working potentially with other sources of capital, be it governments, be it capital markets. So, of course, we have cases in the UK, Flood Re and Pool Re, both operating quite different models where we see these types of partnerships.
It seems you can't have a gathering of insurers and reinsurers without talking about ESG. There are some questions about how ESG fits into the rating process. Perhaps you can answer those.
It's an interesting one because there, as you say, there's much more discussion about ESG, but actually it's something we've always considered in the rating process, where the risk associated with environmental, social, governance factors are material and relevant. We have more recently, though, more explicitly explained how we consider ESG drivers within the rating process. But it's very much, we come at it from the point of view of financial strength, because that's what we're assessing in our credit ratings. So, for example, looking at an insurer's balance sheet, environmental factors clearly, as we see changing climate trends, clearly have the potential to impact underwriting there. So that's something we consider, for example, through the use of PMLs in our capital model. In the more medium to long term, the risk of stranded assets, for example, is a clear risk presented to insurers' balance sheets. So we consider that within our balance sheet strength assessment. And of course, governance and good corporate governance. Governance forms a key part in our analysis of a company's enterprise risk management, and that's because good corporate governance clearly has the ability to positively impact a company's ability to both manage its risks, but also to make the most of its opportunities.
Catherine, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
For AM Best TV, I'm Richard Banks.